We are in a site called KHIBERT RAI, which means the ruins of the shepherd. This is the Arabic name. You can see that it's located on a prominent hill overlooking the valley of Lachish. This valley is a main road crossing from west, from Ashkelon direction, into Lachish, Hebron, and the Judean mountains. So it's a strategic location on the border of the kingdom of Judah toward the west on a main road. We came to the site after the excavation of KHIBERT Kayafa. And the reasons that we came here, because here on the surface of the site, in a survey, pottery, like the pottery in KHIBERT Kayafa, have been found. So if you have the same pottery in the two sites, it means that the two sites were occupied in the same period. This was the idea. We came here, we saw this beautiful location, and we were hoping to find another fortified city from the time of King David. However, you don't win the lottery twice, apparently. So what was found here is only a small village. So in the time of David, there was a small village here in this location, but not a big fortified city. So together KHIBERT Kayafa and KHIBERT RAI, we have a city and a village from the time of King David. So we have a better understanding on the landscape of the period. The other surprise that became apparently here, that this area, the whole site, was occupied mainly in the time of the judges, in the 12th and 11th centuries BC. We excavated here in KHIBERT RAI for 7 seasons. We started at 2015 and we excavated till 2021. So altogether we work here for a large number of excavation seasons. And we excavated large areas, and here is the main excavation area. But we didn't find anything here from the time of David. Instead, everything that you see here, monumental architecture from the time of the judges, the 12th and 11th centuries BC. But we still have some remains of David in the site, and when we were thinking about what could be the ancient name of KHIBERT RAI, we came to the conclusion that this was biblical Ziklag. Ziklag is a settlement mentioned in the Bible about 12 times, and most of them in the time of King David. Only one time it's mentioned in the time of the Persian period. But it's a city that, or a village or a place that deeply associated with the traditions of David. It is not associated with any other king of Judah, only David. But Ziklag is also associated with the Philistine. It says that when David ran away from Saul, he came to Gath, and Achish, king of Gath, gave him Ziklag to dwell in. So David received Ziklag from the Philistines. Now, if you take all these things into consideration, for a site to be Ziklag, you need to have Iron 1 level with Philistine presence, and then you also need to have a presence from the time of King David. But in addition, we need to take into account the name. What is Ziklag? Ziklag is not a Semitic name. Ziklag is an Indo-European name. And Ziklag is the only contribution of the Philistines to names here in the land of Israel. Because when they came to Ashkelon and Gaza and Ekron and Ashdod and Ashkelon, they continue and they kept the Canaanite names. The Philistines didn't change the Canaanite name. So how come suddenly you have a place called Ziklag? It should be a place that was founded by the Philistines. And in other words, you should not have here meaningful late bronze city. Ziklag need to be a place that was mainly built by the Philistine, was a strong Philistine place, later given to David, and it has been destroyed and not mentioned in later period. This is the biblical background of Ziklag. Now, before us, there was already 11 different suggestions where is Ziklag, like Tel Sheva, Tel Farah South, Tel Erani, and many other sites. So you can ask me why the 12 suggestions is better than all the others. So we suggested 3 criteria. One, the history, that it has to be Iron 1 site and then also a level from the time of David. Because of the name, it should not have a late bronze city. And the location should be close to Judah and also close to Gath. And when you take all the different suggestions, this is the only site which met the 3 criteria that we proposed. This is the only site which was not a late Bronze Age, a big city. It was an important Iron 1 city. You have Philistine presence here, and then you also have a level from the time of David. So I think that this is biblical Ziklag. And then you can see how our excavations help to understand the location of two cities from the time of David, Sha'araim at Khirbet Kayafa and Ziklag here in Khirbet El Rai. From the time of King David, we excavated here 6 rooms. We are standing here in one of these rooms. You can see the massive architecture with large stone, very massive architecture. But all this village here, a small village, has been destroyed shortly after it has been constructed. The roof fell, and on this floor and also the floors of the other rooms, about 70 complete pottery vessels has been found. Some of them were not even broken. So this is really a very rich collection of pottery, in a way even better preserved than the pottery from Khirbet Kayafa. But now, if you have the pottery here and the pottery from Khirbet Kayafa, it's exactly the same pottery. If you're looking at the radiocarbon dating, this is here about 1000 BC, and also in Khirbet Kayafa, the dating is 1000 BC. What we need now is to find the same pottery in Jerusalem. So far, such a level with such pottery has not been found in Jerusalem. And that's why people said that King David never existed. But if one day a level with the same pottery, the same radiocarbon dating will be found in Jerusalem, this will be a level from the time of King David. All our scientific strengths coming from the radiocarbon dating. Here we dated mainly seeds, legumes, and sometimes olive pits. In Khirbet Kayafa, we dated mainly olive pits. Now, what is radiocarbon chronology? It turned out that the regular and stable radiocarbon is called C12. But you also have C14. And the C14 is radioactive isotope, which decay. Every 5,700 years, half of the quantity disappear. And what they're doing in radiocarbon laboratory, they're measuring in the sample how much you have radiocarbon, that is C14, and how much C12, and the relationship between the two can give you the dating of the sample. So when we are talking about King David, the dating is about 3,000 years old. Now the system accuracy is 1%. So when we're sending a sample, we can get a date 3,000 plus minus 30. And then another sample can be 2,970 plus minus 30. And another sample can be 3,000 and so plus minus whatever. So we cannot build our chronology or 1 or 2 or 3 samples. The idea is to have many samples, like 10, 20 different samples, and then together they give you accurate dating of the level. So today we have the same dating in Khirbet Kayafa and Khirbet El Rai, the same pottery, and this is really clearly the same period, the time of King David in both sites. There were 5 capital cities of the Philistines: Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and Gat. In the lament of David over Saul, only 2 of them are mentioned. Tell it not in Gat, claim it not in the street of Ashkelon. So only Ashkelon and Gat are mentioned in the lament. And why? Because they are the closest to Judah. And you can see that Khirbet Kayafa is sitting opposite Gat. And the site here of Khirbet El Rai is located opposite Ashkelon. So these were the 2 most relevant sites to the kingdom of Judah. And that's why these are the 2 cities that mentioned in David lament: Ashkelon and Gat. A most amazing discovery made in Khirbet El Rai in the level from the time of the judges, the early 11th century BC, was an inscription. And on this inscription we have the private name Yerubbaal. Yerubbaal is also the name of Gideon. Gideon, the judge that mentioned in the book of Judges, is also called Yerubbaal. And now if we combine the information from here and also from Khirbet Kayafa, we can see that the name Yerubbaal was used in the Bible and in archaeology in the 11th century BC. And then the name Ishbaal, which was found in Khirbet Kayafa, was used in the Bible in the time of David. So you can see here development in names, Yerubbaal and then Ishbaal. Now, if people would like to say that the Bible was written 700 years later, how could people knew after 700 years which name were used in the 11th century and which name were used in the 10th century BC? So the discovery of these names adding to the historicity of the biblical tradition. The inscription was found here in this pit. This is a silo, It functioned as a silo for keeping grains and other agricultural products. And then when it came out of use, it became a garbage pit. And people dump in broken pottery shed, animal bones, and all kinds of other things. And we excavated the silo, and we found the inscription inside the silo. In the ancient Near East, and also here in ancient Israel and Judah, when a name was given to a newborn, the name was a whole sentence. And in this sentence, there's also a name of a god embedded in the name. This is what we call theophoric names. Now, very famous names are Chizkiyahu, Irmiyahu, Ishayahu. These are names with the name Yahu, and they characterize Judah in the 8th and 7th centuries BC. When we're going earlier to the 11th and 10th centuries BC, we usually have other names like Yeru Baal and Ish Baal, which mean Ish Baal, it means man of Baal. And Yeru Baal means founded by Baal. It's like Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. Yerushalem, Shalem was a Canaanite god, and Jerusalem was founded by the god Shalem. So it's interesting that we have these Canaanite names, or Canaanite god Baal, in biblical name from the 11th and 10th centuries BC, which means that Yah was not yet a meaningful name to be included in theophoric names. And it's a main question, what the people in the 11th and 10th century believe in. Did they believe in Baal, the Canaanite god, or did they already believe in Yah, but Yah was understood as Baal? Or Baal is not just a private name of a god, Baal is also mean Lord. So it's possible that the name Baal was not meant for the Canaanite Baal, but for the new God of Israel. This is a very complicated thing. We don't really know what is the right answer, but the fact is that we have Yerubal in the Bible and in archaeology in the 11th century BC, and we have Ishbaal in the 10th century BC in both archaeology and the biblical tradition. In conclusion, today in the archaeology of Israel, we have two sites which are clearly dated to the time of King David. A fortified city in KHIBERT Kayafa and a small village here in KHIBERT RAI. Both sites are located on the border between Judah and Philistia, and both of them are located where a main road crossing from west to east. So they were built in this location as posts to protect the kingdom border to where the Philistines, which were the main enemy. And the biblical tradition about David and Goliath, again, present the Philistine as a main enemy against the people of Israel. So altogether, we can see that we have a lot of information about the political situation, about the geography, and about other aspects that are mentioned in the biblical tradition and also verified here by our excavation at these two very important sites.